So, I'm going to be doing a review of The Good Asian. This is Volume 1 that was sent to me part of the Indie Haul from my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again. Real quick, I actually went ahead and got Volume 2 because it was at my local comic shop, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm going to really enjoy this comic, so I'm going to go ahead and get Volume 2 ahead of time, and if this... I'll probably do a review of the rest of the comic along the way. I was kind of also debating on doing a review of the full comic because I feel like the full story is kind of necessary to tell the whole thing. Which, in one case, I'm right, but hey, you know, content is content, am I right? Like, content is content. So, I'm gonna be real with you guys. The Good Asian is a pretty heavy comic in terms of like what the backdrop of the story is. It's a very heavy and in some cases just brutal outlook on life in the 1930s for Asian Americans in general. For those who are not in the know, basically there was a ban on Asian and Arab nation citizens coming to America, and only the handful that were still here were ostracized and demonized, and even, like, some cases hunted by normal Americans. Well, the act was repealed until in 1965, excuse me. But yeah, from what was it? When was the law passed? Just so you can have an understanding of how long that took. 1882. Really put that into perspective real quick. You know, our nation literally had a ban from 1882 to 1965 on anyone, you know, who wasn't a white American. You were prey, essentially. And it's kind of horrifying, and that's kind of what the story, the backdrop. That's not the main focus of the story, though it does have a hand in it. There is more to the story than that. So, it is a detective noir story. The last time I read a detective noir story was Moonshine, and that turned out really good, because I'm a sucker for noir comics, for like a good, hard-boiled story. Now, this one isn't supernatural, this is more pulp story. The character, our story begins with Edison Hark, who is one of the few, and if not only Asian American officer in Chinatown. And basically, the reason he's got that way is because he's kind of the adopted son of a very wealthy businessman. When it's discovered that there was that basically Edison Hark is basically hired by his stepfather, his adoptive father, and he's sent to look for a young woman named Lucy Fan, who's gone missing. But along the way, he discovers that there is a serial killer going around killing white citizens and putting them in Chinatown. And it all kind of interconnects, really. This, like I said, it's a heavy story. It's a heavy comic to really read. Now, it's kind of weird also to me that how the trades are published, because this is only issues 1 through 4. The other one is 5 through 10. This is a 10-issue miniseries. And I was like, I figured they would at least split it, even, rather than have 4 issues and then the other 5 later. But I have read somewhere that there was a delay for a little bit before the comic could be finished. Yeah, I think that's the case. But yeah, Hark is not the story itself, Hark is not a good person. He understands what he is, why he has this position, and everything else, and he wants to keep it that way, but also he wants to change things, but he just knows he can't. Like, he's fighting a system that is against him, and the only reason he's got any perks is because his adoptive father's white, and that's really it. There's also a lot of, again, it doesn't, hit you over the head with the overt tones, but the tones do, help you understand what's going on and what the world was like in 1936 America, up in California. This comic is a brutal outlook on Asian American life, and there's also a lot of talk of actual historical events. There was a lot of paranoia, a lot of gang violence. This is a good comic, even if it's not like a historical piece. I think it's a really solid. I do truly think this is a really solid detective noir story. And again, the last time I read an Image book that had detective noir stuff had werewolves, and this doesn't have any of that. It's more of it's a brutal comic, and I would not recommend this for kids. It's also got a lot of dialogue that makes you it really makes you reminisce on the like the dialogue itself is very reminiscent of like your classic black and white movies. I would not be shocked if this got picked up for a TV series over on Max or Netflix or something like that. It's perfect for it. So yeah, I think I will, when I get to Volume 2, I will do a review on that. I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should wait and do all, like, both parts at once, but then I was like, nah, this is too good of a story, and I need to, you know, tell the world about the story so far. Anyway, I highly recommend The Good Asian. If you enjoy, like, crime noir stories, if you want to read more about, you know, the hardships of Asian Americans here in America at that time, and not read a fucking history book, you know, a big history textbook, or watch a 2-hour video on YouTube about it. Here's a fun way to do it. I found this a fun way to learn about history. It's nice. So anyway, so there you go, guys. That's my review of The Good Asian Volume 1. Like I said, I'll probably do a review of Volume 2 when I get to it. But yeah, once again, I'd like to thank my good friend Chris for this, and other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.